All right, the final one that we have here on our Thursday-Friday split. We started with the banger. We're going to end with the banger. We have Oregon State on the road at Oregon. The Ducks are 13.5-point home favorites, and this game carries an over-under of 62.5 points. Kicks off Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Thank you that we are not getting this at like 11 p.m. I want to stay up and watch the whole thing. If it starts at 11:30, I ain't watching the whole thing. Or I'm going to try to, but I'm probably going to fall asleep. The Civil War, I know they don't call it that. They play for the Platypus Trophy, but it is still the Civil War to me. This is also awesome for Oregon because it's a win and in for the Pac-12 championship game. I'm pretty sure that they're like, whatever your numbers say about it, I'm interested. I think even if they lose, they're still pretty strong candidates getting it. But if Oregon State wins and Arizona wins, Kelly, Arizona's in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yep. Crazy.
How about it? If Oregon State wins and Arizona loses, then the Ducks are still in. By the way, Arizona plays Arizona State in the Territorial Cup, which they'll get their best effort. But Arizona, I watched Arizona State play Oregon in person this past weekend. Arizona State is not putting their best effort on the football field right now. I think they are fully ready for the season to be over, especially after giving up 6 first-half touchdowns to Bo Nix. Last year's game, though, heavy on the head of Oregon. They were up 34-17 in the fourth quarter in an absolute epic collapse. Like, I remember being at a bar watching this game. I looked down to eat my food in front of me. I look back up, and I'm like, oh, my God, what happened? Like, it happened in an instant, and Oregon State ended up taking that game at home. And the teams were wearing neon colors, but it was super dense fog. It was just a very funny visual, weird game. But what is Oregon State's route to victory here? Yeah, I'm talking about a victory. Control the football and minimize Bo Nix's drives. Again, 6 first-half touchdowns last week, and I'll get to a stat here in a second, but when Oregon has the football, no matter how good your defense is, you almost have to assume that they're going to come away with some points. So minimize their number of possessions. But I'm worried about if the Beavers fall behind, can they keep up with that offense that will continue to score kind of no matter what you do? I'm not sure. I know they did last year, but this is, different year, different circumstances on the road. Their run game is their strong suit, and if you're like, hey, I have to go to my run game to keep up, I'm a little worried there. DJU this season, he's better, but he's holding on to the football just too long. Plain and simple. Oregon is one of the better pass rushers in the country. They have nearly an 8% sack rate. Here's my favorite stat of the game. Oregon State is picking up 58.6 of available yards, which is 12th nationally. Pretty good. 58.6. Remember that number. Oregon is picking up 72.6% of available yards.
It's not fair.
16% more. Yeah, not bad. That's what I mean about this offense is just when you game plan against Oregon, they are going to score. It's kind of like in basketball. When you go up against a Steph Curry or LeBron James or Kevin Durant, guys, they're going to get theirs. But you have to mitigate the damage and take away things that, don't let Bo Nix be the one to beat you, right? Give yourself a chance. Oregon's offense is what I call the definition of flash fry. Therefore, my favorite bet in this game is actually the Ducks minus 7.5 in the first half. I like that one a lot because they can come out and get you like lightning before you even realize what happened. They built that early lead last year as well, and they've taken their foot off the gas in games when they go up big. But I do like them to jump out to an early lead at home. It's the final installment of this game as a conference matchup. I just like Oregon to make a statement in Autzen Stadium. I also like to see Oregon's offense come out and take advantage of an Oregon State defense that's pretty good at limiting explosives. They're 31st in pass EPA, but they do allow chunk yardage, and Bo Nix is absolutely the kind of player like, you're going to give me 8 yards, I'm taking 8 yards. You're going to give me 5 yards, I'm going to take the 5 yards. Now you're stepping up. Oh, here's Troy Franklin for 55 yards on you. You saw it against Arizona State. He was able to do that. Oregon State is 51st in passing success rate and 70th in rushing success rate.
The biggest casualty of conference realignment, Brett, even more so than geographic conferences, those are out the window, is rivalry games. As far as I know, This is the final scheduled edition of the Civil War. Yes, I still call it the Civil War as well. I think most college football fans do. It truly is a tragedy if we don't get this game renewed and continued, as we've gotten the Apple Cup. Very exciting news earlier this week about the Apple Cup continuing on, despite the fact that Washington is going to the Big Ten, leaving Washington State behind. I love this game. I'm going to savor it this year more than ever, given the uncertainty of its future. The model has Oregon minus 13. So it's an 82% win expectancy. Starting next year, Brett, I'm going to include a form section on my team dashboards. Basically, it shows, how much has a team's power rating changed in the past week, the past 2 weeks, the past month, since the preseason. Maybe those are the thresholds. Why am I sharing that? One, I'm excited about it. But two, more importantly, Oregon would grade out very well in the form section if I had it this year. You could argue no team has played better in the past month than the Ducks, other than maybe Georgia, who's really hitting their stride here as of late. Oregon's number 4 in my power ratings. They have the number 1 offense for the 4th straight week. Now have a season best number 15 defense. This team's firing. They're firing on all cylinders. They're peaking at the right time. Washington fans don't want to hear it, but my numbers do like Oregon by about 6.5 and a potential rematch in a Pac-12 championship game, which, as you mentioned, if the Ducks win this game or if Arizona State knocks off Arizona, Oregon will be in the Pac-12 championship game. So they're a scary team. They're a dangerous team. Their resume right now doesn't necessarily have the same weight as the other contenders, at least in my most deserving. But from a who's playing the best, Oregon is right there in that conversation. For Oregon State, the Beavers' power rating, it actually improved slightly following last week's close loss at home to Washington. At number 13, I actually give Oregon State's offense the slightest of edges against the Oregon defense, but that number 1 ranked Ducks offense at home, no less in Autzen, man, like you said, it's a tough place to play. It's likely too much for the Beaver defense that I have ranked number 27. This game, a huge rivalry that has no future meetings on the books with a 2 TD spread. It screams classic college football chaos. Like, look no farther than Bedlam. Just a few weeks ago, it checked all these boxes too. So I won't be surprised if Oregon State finds a way to keep this game close late into the 4th quarter. Maybe they even pull off the upset. But my model isn't picking that. Like, if my model is picking it, I'd really question the model. So, bottom line, I've got Oregon minus 13. It's an 18% chance that Oregon State wins back-to-back games in this rivalry for the first time since 2006-2007.
I remember when Oregon beat Portland State 81-7.
I do. I do.
Portland State, I have 54th in FCS. So, they're not an elite FCS team, but and we kind of waved it off. It's like, they beat up on the FCS team. No, Oregon was telling you exactly what their offense was this year in that game and what they're capable of. And to note, so I've not had the pleasure of going to a game at Autzen Stadium. I've been to Autzen Stadium, but not for a game. But when I was in Tempe this past weekend, Oregon fans, I would say, if I had to guesstimating, outnumbered Arizona State fans. If not, it was 50-50. And boy, they were a lot louder. It cannot be understated. And I know Oregon State's played at Oregon, every other year. It cannot be understated how much of an advantage playing in Autzen Stadium is. This place is one of the loudest venues in all of college football, and I think that's what gives me that extra boost. I'd be a little bit more pessimistic if this game was on the road in Corvallis, but it's not. It's an Autzen Stadium. I really like that first half bet on Oregon minus 7.5. Would love it at 7, but it's not going to move that way. So Oregon minus 7.5 in the first half is my play here.